Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report PrimeTime Super Show here for Thursday, November 5th, 2020. And what a show we have in store for you. We will talk about Impact Wrestling from this past Tuesday night and also last night's AEW Dynamite leading into Full Gear and NXT. A lot's going on in the world. We are happy to bring you a distraction. We've got our superstars and super friends, Shane Helms and David Hero, here with us live as well. The Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Super Show starts right now. Welcome, everyone, to the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Super Show. Welcome, everyone, to Fight TV, and welcome, everyone, to our social media channels, including live on Facebook, live on YouTube, live on Twitch, live on Periscope via Twitter as well. And I just want to establish this fact before we get going here, that I was cheated. I was cheated. Not all the votes are being counted, and I am being cheated I'm being cheated right now. I just want the world to know I have no evidence whatsoever. I have no facts to back me up whatsoever. I've got my kids out doing press conferences with that guy who tried to screw a 15-year-old on the Borat movie. But I was cheated, and you know it, and the American people know it, and it's time for you to take action.
Damian, if you need some more ballots, let me know. I got boatloads over here.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Primetime Super Show. We are head-to-head with the former, current president of the United States, and that is just fine because we all need a distraction from this crap show that has started on Tuesday night. And we are here to provide you that distraction. I am coming to you here from the PWR offices in New Jersey, and I am joined by one David Octavius the Tiberius, the alleged backyard knockout, straight edge, hardcore Hall of Famer champion hero. And returning after a 1-week absence, after being on assignment, I believe he was down in Arizona. Thank you for that, Shane. But he is back, and we are glad to have him back. He is the super hero of the Super Show. He is the supreme being. He is one Shane Hurricane Helms. Welcome, boys. How the heck are you guys doing here on November 5th?
I think New Jersey literally just legalized weed 2 days ago, and you're this happy. I mean, that could be a coincidence.
I was part
you
of
hear all those dogs barking? That's what I'm hearing right now.
No, you're hearing our president in the background. I'm intently watching to see what he has to say about.
Well, I'm intently avoiding him at all costs. So if you could turn that down.
Hey, he's a WWE Hall of Famer, you guys. Come on.
He's a shit show.
Hey, as Gerald Briscoe tweeted, this was funny. I don't know if y'all saw that. Looks like I'm not the only WWE Hall of Famer to be fired.
He then tweeted, too. He said, this election is longer than Mr. T's Hall of Fame speech.
What about Bob Backlund's? Not Bob Backlund. Yeah,
no, it pales in comparison to Superstar Billy Graham's speech in New York. That was the longest. It was very long, and I'm a big Billy Graham mark. So I was into it for about the first hour and a half. But
was it longer than Bob Backlund?
Oh, yeah.
Oof. Bob Backlund, he set the shenanigans party back 3 years.
Didn't I think the last long one, I think, was Hillbilly Jim, too. Hillbilly Jim went out there and said, fuck it. I'm getting my time in.
You know what? He was in town for me for an appearance 2 years ago, and he said that. He was like, you know what? I never got mic time. I'm like, I was going to take full advantage of it, and boy, did I ever. And yes, he did.
Yeah. So,
well, gentlemen, we got so much to get to tonight. Impact, NXT, AEW, and of course, Be the Booker for Full Gear coming to us from AEW this weekend on pay-per-view. So with that, I want to, Shane, my goal tonight is to not piss you off. And over the last couple of weeks, I've had a week of reflection. No, I've had a week of reflection.
Why didn't you piss me off last time for?
my format changes, my hopping all over the shows, starting with AEW every week, even though we agreed we would start with the show with the better ratings. I'm going to appease you by doing this. And I do this for the well-being and the togetherness and the unity of our entire country, is I'm going to do this. Shane, I'd like to start this week with Impact Wrestling.
Boom.
Shaka and Laka.
Yeah. And I don't care what show we start with, but we start with the first segment to the end. I don't like this jumping around and shit. That's what throws me off. I don't like those. This ain't Pulp Fiction. Don't be fucking, jumping all around and make me piecing it together. Yeah, beginning to end.
Easy there, crisscross.
Some of them try to rhyme,
but they can't rhyme like this.
Yeah. Hey, see, we're already better. We've never connected on music, and we just finished the lyrics.
There you go.
This is great. America's great again.
You guys are the wiggity wiggity whack. That's for damn sure.
You know what? Keep it up. I'm gonna call Aisha on you. So let's get right down to it. It's Impact Wrestling. We must go from start to finish, as I have been told, and let's go to the results from this past Tuesday's show.
You gave me ridiculous trauma when you said let's go to the results. I'm like, what state's up next?
I am monitoring. Look, this is doubling as the Pro Wrestling Report official election center. So if news breaks during this live show tonight, I will share it as the journalist that I am, the broadcast journalist that I am. And right now, there is nothing new to report. So with that, it is the Knockouts Championship. It was on the line as Su Yung went up against Deonna Purrazzo. Purrazzo, of course, getting the win there, but she did it via disqualification and standing tall despite what happened in the matchup. So, gentlemen, Shane, we'll start with you. What were your thoughts on this Knockouts match?
This is good. I like Deanna's work, and I'm still not exactly certain if Sue's championship reign would have even happened if it wasn't for what happened with Kylie Ray. I'm almost positive that it wouldn't. So it's interesting that Impact is having to take what was a negative and spinning it into a different storyline. But as I talked about on Twitter either today or yesterday, and kind of went back with Gail Kim a little bit back and forth on this, but in agreement, what Impact is doing better than they've done in a long time is they're utilizing their talents at their strengths. And that's when you're a promoter, when you're a booker, and a creative element like that. That's something that has to happen. We all, you hear all this stuff about getting out of your comfort zone, and yeah, that stuff is cool. But a running back runs the ball, quarterback throws the ball, kicker kicks the ball. You play your talents to their strengths, and that's what I think Impact is doing really well right now.
And the next matchup, Dave, I know I skipped you, but I'm going to start with you on the next one again. We do this in the interest of time because I'm a busy man. But Trey Miguel went up against Chris Bay. And in that matchup, we saw Chris Bay getting the win over Miguel. And it was a good matchup, it looked like. Could have been better, could have been worse, but the X Division continues to shine. And see how I rode the line there? X Division continues to shine in Impact Wrestling. David Hero, your thoughts on this particular contest?
You know what? It's the two guys that I thought they had good ring chemistry. I thought the match came off well. It's exactly what they wanted. Chris Bay, no longer the X Division champion, but I think he's one of the more talented X Division talents they have. And right now they're just keeping them on TV so they're not forgotten. I don't think that they have any real big plans for them. At least not going into the next pay-per-view or their next big event next weekend. But I didn't think it was terrible. I thought they did some good business. I think Trey Miguel is really coming into his own.
Now, as I move on from your comments, gentlemen.
Real quick here, Damian. What's good here, though, is because the X Division champion, Rahit, is doing so well right now. And as a heel champion, this particular match spotlighted how good the X Division is because you got two babyface competitors kind of going at. And Chris Bay he kind of rides the line with a heel, but the style, everybody in the X Division to a degree is a babyface because of the style, except for the X Division champion, who right now is having a really good run as a heel performer and great promo. So that's what I really liked about this segment. It highlighted the X Division. You don't have to have just one segment for the X Division, which was something they did back in the day. So I really like that.
Next up, we did see locker room talk with Jordan Grace and Tennille Dashwood, and Madison Rayne would play an interesting part of this as well. Shane, what'd you think of this segment?
I thought all the promo segments this week came off okay, really well. And I know that they're getting a lot more opportunity, and that's when your promos should be getting better. The more opportunities you get at it, the better you should be getting. So, it wasn't like, I don't know if they're going to get an Emmy for it or anything, that particular one, but that's what I was looking for. I was like, man, I was just kind of paying attention to everybody's delivery. And I think the delivery across the board for Impact, from a promo standpoint, specifically on this show, was really good.
As my responsibility here as broadcast journalist and host to bring you breaking news as it breaks throughout this ongoing election.
Podcast journalist.
I am not happy, but it is my responsibility to report to you that the lead for the current president has shrunk in the state of Georgia to only 3,600 votes as more votes come in. So we don't want you to deviate, watch anything else. We'll bring you the results as they happen here live tonight as well. Not big changes in the other three battleground states, if you will. Dave, Madison Rayne, her husband, lead commentator for the company, right? No, wait. Who's Madison?
Yes.
Is he with Bully Ray?
Yeah, you're right.
Who's with Bully Ray?
Velvet Sky.
Copy. I understand my confusion.
Completely different company.
Yeah, but it's the same beautiful people.
Beautiful people. Yeah. She was a member of Beautiful People. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who got Angelina Love?
Not that I know anything about either one of those people.
So continue to talk about Impact. It was the Defeat Rohit Challenge. And TJP step up. And, TJP standing tall after Raju retreating. A good story told in that situation, that matchup, David Hero.
You know what? I thought that may have been the best promo TJP has ever delivered. Because when he comes to the ring with his Starbucks cup of coffee and his Abercrombie sweatshirt look and everything, you don't take him seriously. Until he lists his accomplishments. And you can kind of see Rajit backpedal a little bit. I thought that was great. They both put each over as top guys, top superstars, both threats, both former and current cruiserweight champs. I thought they did a really good job of establishing that both guys are somebody, especially if it's somebody new tuning into Impact for the first time. It was good business. I wasn't sure in the beginning, but as TJP looked and got more comfortable with his promo, I thought he hit a home run.
Shane?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. And TJP, he's a big fan of himself. So that was an easy promo for him to cut because he does believe himself, and he should. He had, I would in that position. So he cut a great promo. I kind of like, he came out with the cup of, I guess it was tea. He had that look of that kind of nonchalant, I don't care type attitude, and I wasn't invested, but it really played into it because as he started to amp up the promo, that's what made it for me. Some guys, they just start screaming, or some guys and gals, they stay at that same level. He went, he changed courses through his with his intensity, and that made it for me. The only thing weird, like in the physicality, when he got into it, then he just threw him out of the ring. To me, that was a bit of a miss. I feel like TJP should have planted him with something, really busted his ass and had the heel roll away and kind of scamper. That would have been a little better button for me. Because if I'm there to beat you up, why would I don't know if I would throw you out of the ring if I'm there to kick your ass. I want to keep you there.
Right.
But that's being super nitpicky. But I agree. Both of them really killed it on the promo.
Do want to remind everybody we are taking your comments live, ladies and gentlemen, on our social media channels and in the live chat on Fight TV. You want to welcome on Facebook Billy Flores, on Twitter Martin Duffin, and on YouTube we've got several users, including Gabe606 and the Critical Sting. And in fact, Critical Sting had a comment that he wanted to say, which is all men were created equal until they made Rohit the sequel.
Yep, I popped on that one.
Which is fantastic there. So we want to continue to share your comments. Just go ahead, and all you have to do, nothing special, is just simply comment via the social media channel you are using, YouTube comments, Facebook comments, and mentions on Twitter during the live feed. I don't know if we can get any live Twitch comments. And actually, I don't do much twitching, unlike Dave Hero. Shane, I think you twitch. Careful.
I had a Twitch channel for about 3 weeks, and I had grand designs, but all the other projects just kind of are taking precedence right now. So
well, and now you can have a Twitch channel again because you're. I can't. We're gonna move on, folks. Gallows, one half of the Good Brothers, takes on Ethan Page. Gallows gets the win in that matchup. However, the finish was a bit, well, I guess you could say confusing. Dave, what did you think?
Gallows has been fantastic, and Ethan Page has gotten better every single week for me. For a guy that in the beginning didn't look like much, right now the guy is he's on fire. He looks the part, he talks the part, he's the antagonist. I thought the match was solid. I thought Luke Gallows, might be the best big man in the game right now, and it was good. It's good business with the North, how they are being competitive with one of the greatest tag teams, in the last 10 years in the world of wrestling. So, big fan of Ethan Page, but Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, they're obviously chasing the heels for those titles, and it was good business.
And I understand we found out we're getting another Talking Shop-A-Mania this or next Friday from Gallows and Anderson?
Yeah, the 13th, Friday the 13th.
Brilliant, by the way, Friday, November 13th. Good for them. But Shane, your thoughts on Gallows and Page?
Yeah, I agree with Dave. Gallows is as good as he's ever been right now. One of the best big men going. Ethan, I would almost bet he'll be the Impact Heavyweight Champion one day. That's how big of a run, and just how better he's gotten over this last year. I had a talk with him recently. He's changed his body. He's putting in the work, and I got a massive appreciation for people to do that. There's a couple little things. He still has a couple little indie tendencies where he's trying to be cute and funny when it can kind of take you out of the seriousness. Once he gets really serious, I mean, you got a guy that, like I said, could carry the banner for that company, and that's how good he is.
Shane, do you think there has been anybody that has gone from Festus to the big LG where it's been such a dramatic change in style and everything?
It's good that he got away from that. And that just goes to show you can't overcome anything, because Festus was, that was a gimmick that could have been a career killer. Mm-hmm. And now the big LG, not only what he's done in Impact, not what he did in Japan, what he did in WWE, now we're talking Shop-A-Mania, which, I did a little investigation with that, and it's going to be a pile of steaming dog shit, but I'll be watching, and I hope you guys do too.
We talked earlier, you guys mentioned earlier how the promo game.
That's how they want to advertise it too, by the way, just so you know. Steaming pile of dog shit. But it's going to be great.
The promo game was strong on Impact Wrestling. We would see a promo at least start in the champion Moose addressing Rich Swann. However, it would be Willie Mack who would walk out barely after the hands of an attack from Moose as well. David Hero, your thoughts on this?
Moose is the man. I thought the promo was good. It reminded me of Nick Bockwinkel, but a jacked up 6'6" big Nick Bockwinkel.
Wow.
He was quiet. He was using bigger words. He was talking very intelligent. He talked very confident. And then when Willie Mack came to the ring, just the punches he was throwing looked like he was killing Willie Mack. Good business with EC3. Now going forward, Willie Mack is definitely one of the top badasses on Impact.
Shane, what say you?
Yeah, I agree. Nothing you can really disagree with on Dave there, in my opinion. Love the promo. Moose is he's improving. Every time you see him, the guy continues to improve. So he's got a good presence about him. There's a superstar quality. I had concerns about where that feud with the EC3 would end up, but Moose came out looking even better now. I'm not sure what the direction is with him being the TNA champion, but I love the fact that he still carries that championship around and is proclaiming himself to be that champion. And it's interesting, And I like to see Willie Mack. You know, we've seen all the matches with the X Division where we can see all the flip-flop fly that Willie Mack is capable of. So I want to see him in a match with somebody like Moose. We can just fight and see what he can pull out in that regard.
Well, next it would be Johnny Swinger, getting a win over Cody Deaner.
Ding!
Swinger and Deaner, a little bit of a Wrestle House battle or feud there, if you will. Shane, what'd you think of this contest? Which was
hey, listen, man, Johnny Swinger is the Cinderella story of 2020. You know, I mean, I can't, you know, he's you know, I worked Swinger in WCW. That's how long he's been around. I actually worked him in WWE too, as Johnny fucking Parisi was his gimmick name, and worked him on the Indies. He's very talented, but I never thought I was going to see another TV run out of him. And so Impact took a chance on him. And this character they pulled out of him, the Swing Man, it's entertaining to me. It's entertaining as hell to me. And so I'm very happy for him.
David?
He's everything that the aging indie wrestler is. The way he talks, the way he walks, the way he works, everything about him is just obnoxious and awesome at the same time. The colors, the fanny pack, the do-rag, the receding hairline. I mean, everything. He's everything he says he is, and it's working. I don't think. I mean, this is without a doubt his best run of all time.
Yeah.
Well, the question would be answered: who shot Johnny Bravo? In fact, actually, Tommy Dreamer may have tried his best, but the suspect, the prime suspect, not identified. This, of course, coming off of the heels of last week's Impact Wrestling. This week, no one identified, but all these people still have an active role on the show, and that seemingly is a moment of brilliance for Impact Wrestling, Dave.
Yeah, this is one thing I'm not a big fan of, because
you love Wrestle House.
I love Wrestle House, but I don't love the fact that they're trying to investigate a murder. I just think that's just stupid. And
he lived. It's not a murder.
But you know what I mean? It's just like, why? They're doing everything so good. They didn't need that. They really didn't. But it is what it is. It's on TV. Maybe they're going to be debuting somebody new. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Hornswoggle, but who knows?
Well, Hornswoggle getting a lot of action, getting a lot of time as well in Impact Wrestling, which is good for him. And, it's interesting. The comments he made was he is there to prove he is a serious competitor as opposed to a, comedy bit, if you will. But from there, folks, we would see Rich Swann and Eddie Edwards team up to take on Eric Young and Sami Callihan. Callihan and Young getting the win over Edwards and Swann in what was a good matchup. Ken Shamrock involved as well, Shane.
This is 4 of Impact's top stars, and they really showed why in this match. Some really good camera work I liked on Eric Young's entrance with over the shoulder. You saw Sami Callihan. That was some really good filmography there that I liked. The mechanics of the match were good. Anytime Eric Young is in that ring, I'm just completely staring at him. Like, there's something about that guy that just entertains the fuck out of me to no end. He just, all his little detail work, the mechanics, he's the modern day Buzz Sawyer. I'm really fascinated anytime he's in the ring. I'm not changing the channel if Eric Young is in the match. So I'm digging it. And Ken Shamrock, fresh off, with his Hall of Fame thing, you think, okay, that's going to be it for him. But no, he's still there. He's still in the mix. Normally with a Hall of Fame thing, you ride off into the sunset, but not Ken Shamrock. He's still there. So, again, great usage of their locker room.
Dave Hero, that was the final match, the main event, if you will, on the card on Impact Wrestling. Your thoughts on that tag team action?
I think Eric Young and Sami Callihan is one of the most evil tag teams we've seen in quite a while. When they were both going for the double pile driver, just dastardly and vicious. And if they stick together and keep that unit with Ken Shamrock involved, I think that Impact Wrestling is going to be in for a long winter.
A good show this past Tuesday night from Impact Wrestling. And we move
And
on.
if you remember, real quick, Dave, you remember you mentioned a couple of weeks ago about how it's weird that you got two guys doing the power drive, and I said, yeah, but you might end up, they might could use that in a story somehow.
Yeah, and they did, right? As that match was on, and they both went from like, well, I guess there's my answer, you know.
Yep. Sorry,
but to jump back to the first match, that what drove me nuts was the chair. If you don't know how to use a chair, swing a chair, or use it as a prop, please stop using it.
Yeah.
Because that looked just absolutely ass terrible.
Ass terrible. Yes.
Ass terrible. Terrible.
Is that like backwards?
No, that would be a little bit of no, not at all.
Well, folks, we are live. This is the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Super Show. We just got done talking about Impact Wrestling. Thank you, Shane. Impact Wrestling. And, we couldn't do this show and be live across our social media channels without our tremendous partners. And one of them brings you the tremendous apparel that you see prominently displayed by Shane Helms there from the Planet of the Capes. I see what you did there. And also, Dave Hero, who are you wearing and how can the world get their hands on it tonight?
You know what? I'm busting out the all-American colors tonight because nothing says Americana like the last couple days. You know what I mean? So head on over to collarandelbowbrand.com.
Wait a minute. What did you just say? What, Shane, did you hear that jab?
Whoa! Millions of people went out to vote. That's a beautiful thing. Hundreds of millions of people. How is that a jab? One nation under God.
Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For all. So go to collarandelbowbrand.com, use promo code PWR360, get to save 10%. All the new shirts are out. The Tracy Smothers shirt, the Road Warrior Animal shirt, the Shad Gaspard shirt, all those shirts, the proceeds of those go straight to the families. And then, of course, check out all the new hats, jackets, sweaters, long sleeves, tanks, you name it, collarandelbowbrand.com.
And the Planet of the Cape shirt, the proceeds go directly to me, also at collarandelbowbrand.com.
Thank you so much. Our tremendous partner, collarandelbowbrand.com. And, I like the election theme of tonight's show. Because, I've always wanted to be a breaking news correspondent. And here I am having that opportunity live on a wrestling show on a Thursday night in November 2020.
Sweet.
So with that, we're going to move on to AEW.
Why would you want to cover an election?
So I am not a fan of any particular sports or sports teams, if you will. I don't follow those millionaires and their games religiously, and my psyche is not impacted whether my team wins or loses. So for me, the Super Bowl is election night every 2 years. And I just love the reality of, as Dave said earlier, hundreds of million, 140 million people, the highest vote turnout in the history of our country.
So your Super Bowl is the election?
Yes.
I would punch you right now if I could. Like really hard.
So wait, are you judging this based off of the current parties in the game, if you will?
No, just because. Just for
So
saying that.
we all have different tastes. Remember, it's my goal not to fight with you.
But hey, Shane, but to be fair, he never asked to cheer for the Washington football team.
True. There is that. I did see a meme today that if it said that Damien, the NFC East, just to give you some preference on this, is the worst division in auto sports.
That's where the Packers and Bears are.
No. And but thanks for playing. And so that's where the Philadelphia Eagles are. So the meme was NFC East, motherfucker. Let me get this joke out. And the joke was that if Biden and Trump tie in Philadelphia, they still could lead in the NFC East. That's how bad that division is.
He'll never get it. He'll never understand.
No, I get it.
But those of you listening, I appreciate you.
So the Packers are in the what?
NFC Central.
There's a Central, East, and West?
Yeah.
How about like 18, 17 teams?
Yeah. There's also a North and a South.
Why do they got to segregate so much?
Wait, it's the NFC North now. Forget it. It used to be the Central.
So we have a 90-minute time limit. You guys did a great job covering Impact. We're going to now move on to All Elite. Shane, what are you eating?
M&M's. M&M's. Atkins M&Ms.
I don't think the two things work together. Are those peanut or regular?
Yeah, it's low carb M&Ms. They go in the Atkins diet. So if you're doing a keto diet, this works for you.
Are there a lot of carbs in M&Ms?
Yeah.
That's why I see Atkins. For a guy that's on our case about not wasting time, now he's asking about carbs and M&Ms.
Yeah. See, I'm just trying to enjoy a little snack here.
Live on air. Thank you.
Can you hear me chewing? I'm trying to chew really quiet.
No, but you got red flake in your beard.
Whoops. High spot.
They don't even have red M&Ms. I don't know where that's from.
So AEW, All Elite Wrestling, it was live last night from Daly's Place down in Jacksonville, Florida. It was the go-home show leading into Full Gear, which is this weekend on pay-per-view, and a loaded show. It was a lot going on. Let's go to the numbers first before we talk about the show. And 717,000 of you tuned in live to Dynamite last night on TNT. That's about 8% fewer than the prior week. And that's interesting because obviously a lot of distractions in the country right now, a lot of people watching, trying to understand what's happening with the vote counts and who will be declared the next president of the United States. But at the same time, NXT took a 30% dip from its prior week ratings and delivered 610,000 viewers. So the gap between the two shows, not necessarily vastly different than what it normally is, but a 30% drop over last week for NXT versus only an 8% drop versus last week on AEW Dynamite. So substantial viewership down across the board, but much more, 3 times as much for NXT.
Yeah, but to be fair, I don't think NXT did a very good job of promoting this past week's show as far as who was on it, what the matches were going to be.
Well, to be fair, they're coming off the heels of Halloween Havoc as well, which was last week.
Right.
Yeah, I think Halloween Havoc really helped them out. So I'm not surprised it was a big dip. I'm actually really glad that both shows still did okay. And what I'm really happy about is that you would think that they knew all eyes were going to be on this election. They knew that. And it didn't seem to me that either one of them let off the gas at all. They both put on these really powerful shows, and Impact did as well. So. And I don't know if Impact was actually live this Tuesday or not, so I guess I shouldn't include them in that. But I know AEW specifically, man, they were full speed ahead going into this pay-per-view. Election be damned. They put on a powerful show last night.
And let's talk about that show that they did put on over on AEW Dynamite. And to open the show, it was Ortiz and Sammy Guevara going up against MJF and Wardlow. Chris Jericho on commentary all night. He started off by calling MJF soft, which we've seen permeate on social media all day long since. But MJF and Wardlow get the win over Guevara and Ortiz. But after the matchup, MJF would attack Chris Jericho while on commentary at ringside. Shane, your thoughts on this contest?
This was interesting because normally the worst scenario you can have in a wrestling match is 2 heels. There's nobody to cheer for. So, but this was interesting, because you got a lot of dynamic characters in there that have layers to them. And Sammy Guevara really kind of just played the role of babyface, to be honest. Really showed how, pop-oriented his offense is. So it was good, man. I really enjoyed this match. I still think Wardlow needs to turn up the killer instinct a little bit more. I'm not sure having Ortiz tap out would have been the finish I would have preferred, but I still enjoyed the match. Jericho on commentary, not even just doing this segment, but all night long was incredible. He's almost so good on that. You want him to do that every week, which he can't, but I guess he could, but I don't know. I really enjoyed it. And like I said, especially going into it, man, you got 2 heel teams. What are they going to do here? It was interesting.
Dave?
Yeah, for me, it was like seeing MJF and Wardlow against the B team of the Inner Circle, and that's no disrespect to Guevara and Ortiz. They've just never teamed together, so it was an odd pairing, even though they're all part of the same group. Wasn't a big fan of MJF pounding on Jericho, and there was no real pull apart. those guys should have been tearing each other apart. Jake Hager should have been beating somebody's ass. And then for Jericho to stay and do commentary for the rest of the show, I'm thinking, you just got punked out by MJF. Why are you still there? You know, so I just think that they could have had a really good, violent moment to put a ton of gas and heat on that match for Saturday night, and they did nothing with it. Unless I missed something, I don't know.
I see what you're saying. There could have been something after that, but you know, it's one of those things where I think they tried to fit a lot into the show last night in that 2 hours. So I don't disagree with what you're saying.
I mean, if they would have ended the show with that and a huge pull apart where Inner Circle's fighting, Jake Hager's throwing, you know, big roundhouses and Wardlow's going back and forth, and everyone clears out to pull Jericho off MJF. Okay, now it's going to be a fight, not two guys that just did a musical in a town hall just trying to fool around. But it's like, and then I don't, and Shane, if you're sitting there doing commentary and your opponent comes out and jumps on you and gets a whole bunch of punches in and your buddies just stand there, are you really going to sit out there for the next 2 hours and call the rest of the show?
No, I think you're right about that. And two, I don't even know if it was necessary. You know, like I wouldn't have went for MJF getting a submission, but since he did, that proved that he was tough, and that was his ammunition there. He was just like, I made one of them tap out. You see what I did? That was kind of all they needed. So I don't know. They probably just went for something a little extra, is what I'm guessing here.
Is that good extra or bad extra? Because I understand the kids use.
I mean, Dave's making a good point there because nothing really came of it. You know, you go punch Jericho. He should, you know, it wasn't like he was contractually obligated to be at that commentary table. You know, he could have.
How does your big heater who just beat some ass in Bellator just stand there?
Well, you know, I think he's under a medical suspension by the rules of MMA. So you can't like throw hands for, you know, I think 60 days after that. We'll go with that because it sounds good right now.
Yeah, okay, that works.
I want to dig deeper into the next match we're going to talk about, which is Trent and Miro. Miro getting a win over Trent. A lot of shenanigans. Orange Cassidy. By the way, that thing he did with Penelope at ringside when she slapped him and knocked his glasses off, and he just puts his arms up and grabs her glasses and puts them on. Just freaking brilliance. But I want to ask you about the match, and we'll start with you, Shane. But I also want to ask you about AEW's utilization of Miro so far and your thoughts on that, Shane.
Well, this was good. This match was good. That's the Miro we want to see. And so it's been interesting because they've taken their time with him. They went a unique route with him, and they made us want to see this. And then they gave it to us. So in that aspect, what they did worked, and it was unique. You know, I don't think when I see Miro, when I see this killer, I don't think of somebody that sits at home playing video games, but that's kind of who he really is. And now going forward, it's like, you know, can you fit that into this guy who once he gets in the ring becomes this killer? You know, that's a little complex story, but that actually exists. There are fighters like that. There are fighters that they don't just walk around all day long in this, you know, antagonistic mode. You know, there are things that they do that are normal, but when it's time to go to combat, then a switch flips. You know, that does exist. So it's going to be interesting to see how they get there. I talked about Trent before. I think Trent he's one of their best kept secrets. You know, that guy's been good for a long, long time. I really like this match. Even with the little kind of slip up the springboard at the end, they went right into the finish. You know, they kind of used that because his leg was hurt to the point of, I'm not even sure if it was a slip. Maybe it was intentional. It was just really well done. The mechanics of this match were good. The after stuff with Orange Cassidy doing the dive on him, I don't even know if that was super necessary. But just the match itself, seeing how mechanically good Miro is, because you see a lot of bigger guys, and I don't know, just Miro's detail work. There's a lot of little things he did in that match. I was like, man, this guy is really good.
Indeed, it was a good match. Dave, I want to get your thoughts. Miro's utilization this match in AEW so far.
Miro's psychology, I thought, was fantastic. Everything he did meant something. Everything he did served a purpose. I just wish he was in a better position on the card because you have so many other distractions going around. You have Kip Sabian, you have Penelope Cruz, you have the Best Friends, you have Orange Cassidy. Let's talk about Orange Cassidy for a second.
Here we go, folks. Let the hate begin. You should have announced this press conference before it happened. Then we would have been able to prepare for it.
And Shane, I'm going to look to you for this because I know you won't be biased. Orange Cassidy has high-profile matches with Chris Jericho, high-profile matches with Cody Rhodes. He's then downgraded to the buy-in for the pay-per-view. Now, of course, they have since switched that. They have Sienna and Serena Deeb now as the buy-in. But how do you go from Jericho and Cody Rhodes to one of the guys of the Dark Order with someone that you've been putting in main events for the last 2.5 months?
It's just, I think it seems odd, especially when you say it like that. But I think just the way of how we present talent these days is just so different. I mean, don't forget, too, though, that when a character used to be introduced to us back in the day, we would see them in meaningless feuds for fucking ever before they got to somebody good. Mm-hmm. I mean, look at The Undertaker's first 6 years. Look at those first WrestleMania matches. For the first 5 or 6 of them, rotten. And he'll tell you. Mm-hmm. You know, so just because he's not at the top of the card yet, Miro, I'm talking about, don't worry about that. I think he's going to get there. And Orange Cassidy, I'm not sure his character is a guy that's going to stay at the top. I think he's going to go, and I think he's going to come down. And you need people like that. You need people that can perform at all positions of the card. Because there's some guys that once they go to the top, they can't perform anywhere else. They get stuck in that rut. I got to be this. I got to be that. And sometimes that serves them well. Sometimes it doesn't.
What do you think that does to the headspace of Orange Cassidy?
It just depends on how the information is delivered. You know, if you got faith in the company that, hey, they're going to take care of me here. You know, listen, I beat Rock in Cleveland in the main event of Monday Night Raw. The next time we went back to Cleveland, I did the job on Heat to Rene Dupree. That's a head fuck. It happens. Mm-hmm. But you got to accept it and you got to keep going, you know, so. Anything, Damien? Damien disappears every now and then, ladies and gentlemen.
I was at my magic wall and was comparing numbers and looking at you know, whether or not we'd be able to make a projection here during this show.
But also keep in mind, Dave, Orange Cassidy was one of those guys that nobody thought would fucking be there anyway.
Exactly.
So he's killing.
He was there, but he was there with Jericho and Cody, and now he is it Jonathan Silver?
Because yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but I mean, if he can't go there, are you saying just take him off the card? Because Moxley's doing his thing with Kingston. Cody's got his thing. So what do you do with him? Do you just take him off?
Well, no, but I wouldn't. But before they changed it, he was on the pre-show.
Well, that pre-show's a really important match. That's the buy-in. That's what you want people to see to buy the pay-per-view. That's really one of those weird things where people look down on that just because they've heard other people look down on it. You shouldn't look down on that match. That match is very important. And when WWE used to treat it, for a while they really treated that match as important when they used to have that live Sunday Night Heat. Mm-hmm. When they stopped, the fans picked up on it. And if the fans realize that you don't think it's important, they won't give a fuck. You have to treat everything like it's important.
Well, folks, thank you for that commentary. Very good discussion. Next matchup was Young Bucks versus Private Party. I believe this was a audible that they had to call due to some COVID concerns. But it would be the Young Bucks, of course, getting the ring.
What was it supposed to be?
You know, I don't remember. And I could be wrong, and maybe it wasn't this matchup, but someone was pulled. Oh, Scorpio Sky was pulled from the show.
Oh, okay.
But FTR, everybody involved. Of course, the goal here, FTR and the Young Bucks this weekend at Full Gear. But Hangman Page, Kenny Omega, a lot going on, and I think they did a good job in preparing for the two matches, Omega Page and also FTR Bucks on Sunday. But Private Party continues to get some very strong showings, if not for their wins or losses, but for their presentation as a top-tier team amongst a lot of top-tier teams in AEW, David?
I think they dropped the ball in that match, though. I really think that if the Young Bucks are saying if they can't win the titles on Saturday night, then they'll never go for the tag titles again. I think they should have beaten the tag team that beat them in the first round of the tournament a lot more quickly and decisively, to have that momentum to show everyone, oh, this is a different Young Bucks. They're focused and they're serious. But to have another 50-50 competitive match until the end, it just killed the momentum that they could have had going into this.
But Dave, wasn't the precedent set in the past by Cody, now Rhodes again, who said he would never go after the AEW World Championship
right,
again?
But here's the thing. Then they should be on the top of their game. Like, they are the most confident, badass tag team out there, where they know they don't have time to be cute and funny, because if they trip and if they kick the ball out of bounds, they're not getting another shot at it. Again, here's an opportunity where they could have established themselves, where even FTR is like, damn, we weren't expecting that. They beat some ass, and they didn't.
Shane?
I was actually wondering if Private Party was going to go over in this match, and wondering how interesting that would be, because you got an injured Young Buck, and they're doing really well on selling that injury. So if they come out and they beat them decisively, then they throw away the attack from last week. So that part I'm really going to disagree with. They sold the injury, and I love selling that, especially week to week, because so many times anything that happens last week is completely forgotten about this week. So I like that they did that to make it a struggle. And they made Private Party look good. Private Party is showing that they can hang week after week with the best tag teams in the world. So I think they look good in losing, and the Young Bucks got the win. So their momentum is there, but there's still doubt on how good they're going to be, because they're not 100% going into the match at the pay-per-view. So, I mean, therein lies your psychology. There's the jeopardy, and they're going against the best tag team in the world right now, FTR. So, I'm going to have to strongly disagree with you on this one, young Mr. Hero.
But here's my problem. It's not like the Young Bucks are baby faces and the crowd's going to get behind them. So it's like
they get behind their style. They don't have a heel style. So I mean, you can say they're not baby faces, but they're going to come out there and they're going to wrestle. And if there's a crowd there, they're going to pop for the Young Bucks. That's what's going to happen. I mean, the Great Muta was a heel too. How many times did you ever fucking boo the Great Muta? There's certain styles where you're not really heels.
They didn't boo Great Muta against Sting, but they cheered for him against Ric Flair.
Yeah, because Ric Flair wanted to be a heel.
Right. But what I'm saying is,
boo for him against Sting, but they cheered for him against Ric Flair. What did they do for him against Sting?
They booed him.
Well, that's just because Sting was a super over babyface. Muta was that that kind of tweener heel. He was never that legit heel. And so even if the Young Bucks go out there and tell everybody to fuck off or whatever, once they start working and you see this pop oriented style, you're not going to boo them. That just doesn't happen. It hasn't happened for decades, and I've been trying to get everybody to realize that. If you have a pop-oriented style, the crowd is not going to boo.
Did the commentary do a good job of telling the story that the Young Bucks were beat up and they may be limping into Saturday's match?
I thought so, and they did a really good spot. There's which one of the Bucks was hurt. He did that dive to the outside, sold the ankle. JR put it over JR talked about it extenstively.
I think the problem is for me on all this is because
you're not listening to the commentary?
Well, no, I think it's because they don't sell often that I always feel like, oh, well, this is just part of what they're doing still. So it's because they don't sell what's going on. You don't know if they're hurt or if they're not, and if they're in jeopardy or not, because too many times they just pop up and zero to hero.
Yeah, there's a lot of that goes on with younger talent, and for the Young Bucks, it's kind of their motif. That's kind of their gimmick now, to wrestle like a young talent no matter what. So we'll see. But I like this segment. I like what they did, and I like the shenanigans at the end with Omega coming out, and because they're always a part of the BTE family, and Paige coming out. Not a fan of that shirt, but it works for him. That was a bold fashion statement for Adam Page there. But,
when has there ever been an emo cowboy before in pro wrestling?
I don't know, man. If I'm from down south. There's a lot of those weird shirts you see out there, and you're like, that's an interesting style you got going on there. But
it seems like he's always sad and depressed. Like he's all he's missing is the black cloth eyeliner.
He's drinking a lot, so that'll do it. That's alcohol's a downer. It's a narcotic.
Shane, just so you know, right now, actually, I should have thought about this before I started to say it, but in the non-declared state of North Kakalaki, of which you reside, the current president remains up by 77,000 votes. However, a lot more votes still to be tabulated, especially from the Charlotte area, which of course is a bit more balanced than other areas of the state. So next, it was Eddie Kingston. What is that, Dave? What's so funny? I got journalistic.
Well, so are you saying like Raleigh-Durham isn't balanced?
What is the name of that city?
I don't know. That's why I said it wrong.
Raleigh-Durham.
Yeah.
That's actually two different cities, Raleigh and Durham.
Much like Dallas-Fort Worth, much like Minneapolis-St. Paul. Not a lot of people realize that. And those of us who are local from the Illinois area, Molina-Urbana, two different cities as well. But next would be Kingston and Moxley in the ring. Lots of weird, good creepiness, lots of emotion, lots of fire leading into their confrontation for the championship on Saturday. Shane, how did this segment strike you? First time in a long time seeing those two men in close proximity of each other.
I love the promo. I don't know if I want somebody in my face as close as Kingston got,
Especially right now.
Especially right now. I think I saw a little tongue action there. I could have just imagined that. I'm not sure. But as far as the promo, incredible. Kingston, I'm so proud of that guy. I remember in Impact telling creative, I was like, just let Eddie talk, because he came in, he was part of a group with some other people, and then he wouldn't do it. He was just a member not doing shit. And I was like, we need to let Eddie talk. And he can cut a promo. I'm like, yeah, that's what he does. Like, his wrestling is fine. Don't worry about that, but let him talk. And then that's when they saw. So that literally started from a conversation with Shane Helms, his Impact stuff. But Moxley, I thought, was incredible too. Kingston, I think, is getting a lot of attention because he came from nowhere. But this was a good promo for Moxley to remind people, because this wasn't just your stereotypical. This one had a little bit more emotion. I felt this wasn't just the Roddy Piper style promo that Moxley cut sometimes. This one was a little bit more heartfelt, and I believed it a little bit more. And I thought they both did really good. Eddie's got great facials, with his eyes. He's got those very prominent eyes, and I don't know, it made me want to see that match more, and I already wanted to see it, but now I want to see it even more, and that's what a promo is supposed to do.
David?
It's not very often where John Moxley looks like he's the sane person in the ring. Right. And Eddie Kingston, when Moxley brought up his mother and everything else, you just felt it get very personal, very raw, very real. That there's a ton of respect between the two of them. But when Kingston said, hey, this is why I don't have kids, why I'm not married, why I don't have this, why I don't have that, it's kind of hard to not want to cheer for the guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because that didn't stop me. So it's that was an interesting comment.
Yeah.
I think you can still do those things, but I get it. It was interesting.
But I think what the interesting thing is, and again, maybe I've missed it, I don't know. With the exception of the match against Cody and maybe one other, has Kingston had any matches on Dynamite?
The Cody one was the best, for sure.
That was also his first.
That was his first one. He got a job off of him.
He was in the Battle Royal, and he may have had one more. So we really, as watching him now, we don't know what he
didn't. He didn't have a match with Moxley where he didn't tap out or something like that. Wasn't that a match?
Right. So that would be it. So he's really only had 3 matches.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I do want to solicit your services to fact check a statement from one of our YouTube viewers right now. Of course, we are live here on Fight TV. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Twitter, Periscope, and Facebook as well. And this comes to us from a regular viewer on YouTube, Gabe606, who says the following, reference the Young Bucks. AEW, this looks like it may have been pulled from a reporting somewhere else. AEW star Matt Jackson of the Young Bucks currently dealing with a partially torn MCL and thinning of the ACL, which is also considered a slight tear. If true, and I don't know if you guys have heard the same thing or know anything more, having challenges with your ACL and your MCL, especially if in the same leg, is a substantial challenge.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. I tore my ACL, and I was on crutches for a long time. So we'll see. I don't know. I don't have any inside medical information.
Yeah, I've seen similar reports, which absolutely throws a monkey wrench into everything. But we'll book that later on and be the booker.
Oh, good job, Dave. Well done with the segue, that is. And let's segue into the next segment on AEW. Nyla Rose getting a defeat over Red Velvet. Vicky Guerrero playing a huge role and talking some trash to the Brandalorian as well.
Red Velvet in that little girl smile. Anything? Okay.
I was thinking cake, so that's all right.
R&B?
I don't even know who sings that song. Black Velvet in that Black Velvet.
Alanis Miles.
I don't think it's Alanis Morissette.
No, I said Alanis Miles. Miles.
I thought you said Morissette.
Nyla Rose.
It'd be ironic.
Nyla Rose continues to excel with Vicky Guerrero on her side. David Hero.
You know what? Good for Nyla Rose to finally get some TV time to get her back into play. I think Red Velvet, she's been around now for, I want to say at least the last couple of months, and she was just predominantly on Dark. She's now on Dynamite. I think that they can do something with her, but they need to cash back in on the Vicky Guerrero Nyla Rose train.
Yeah, it was a good win for Nyla Rose. That damn power bomb was incredible. And it was good throwback. She did the Sheeta's finish too, but I thought Nyla looked like a monster there, and that's what you need from her. Dave, we both talked about this. We love a good squash.
Yeah,
and that's what we got there. Nyla, I like Nyla's interest. It's just weird to me that she comes out and has this mask on for 2 seconds and then just takes it off. So I'm always going, why? I feel like there's more to do. I think you see a lot of that. You see a lot of talents that just dress really weird and nobody says why. And like that's their gimmick, that they got weird gear.
Jungle Boy.
Yeah, I don't know why he dressed like that, but at least he dresses, it kind of matches his names, I guess. But like Tommaso Ciampa comes out in that shit and then he just takes it off and it has nothing to do with who he is or nothing to do with anything. Or Ember Moon, I know she came out, I'm like, okay, she got all this cool shit, but it doesn't really add anything to anything. I don't even know what it is. You see a lot of that, and you see a little bit of it with Nyla Rose too, because I like that mask. But I think about when Kabuki used to come out with that mask and the gimmick headpiece, and there was this presentation when Gary Hart would take it off, and
Gary
that
Hart.
added,
Yes,
yeah, your boy. And so there was this, you added to it. But when you walk out there and you have it on for 2 seconds just to take it off, it's almost, to me, it's kind of like, why'd you even put that shit on? Why don't you just walk out there? Because she's got the good pyro and she's got good facials anyway. So I don't know. That's just a weird tangent that I think about.
It's like all that crap they put on Ricky the Dragon Steamboat when he came back. Remember that to WWE? He had the fire and the whole dragon thing, and
no, the fire made sense. The fucking fire breathing dragon.
Well, he had a lot of apparatus though on it.
Yeah, the dragon wings. Fucking makes perfect sense. That's the worst metaphor ever, or analogy ever. Because all of that shit makes sense.
Imagine always having a mouthful of kerosene.
Oh, but do you know the story behind that? Do you guys want to hear that story?
Yes.
So they send him to Florida to get trained. I believe it was in Florida. They send Steamboat to get trained by a guy that breathes fire. You have that shit in your mouth, whatever it is, whatever. The first time the guy goes and does it, he sets his shit on fire. And so now Ricky's over there like, what the fuck? But Ricky apparently never set himself on fire. But yeah, that was real tough. He'd have to do his entrance and he'd have that shit in his mouth the whole time. And then, but it was a good spectacle when the lights went out and you saw it and the wings and everything. Like that was a cool look, but then once he took it off, then he was this technical master, Ricky Steamboat, and nothing about the dragon ever came into play other than, I guess, Dragon Bruce Lee was what they were going for, so, but yeah.
Well, thank you for that insight there, Shane.
The
main event,
you ever play a game of Trivia Pursuit? There it is.
The main event on Dynamite last night would be the Dark Order, going up against Cody and the Gunn Club. This being, I believe, the Dynamite debut of Austin Gunn and his father, Billy Gunn. A good six-man tag team matchup. Of course, the goal here was to continue the story leading into Full Gear between Cody Rhodes and Darby Allin. And some pointed words from Cody to Darby in this matchup, or after the matchup, rather. But, gentlemen, let's first hear your thoughts on the match and then the go-home story to get us more engaged in the confrontation that will take place this Saturday between Cody and Darby Allin. Dave.
And I put this out last night as a tweet. One of the coolest things you're going to see is the 57-year-old Billy Gunn, who just had a birthday, who looks as good as he did in the Attitude Era, teaming with his son on the main event of Dynamite with one of the biggest stars in all of wrestling in a six-man tag. And then his son, Austin, gets the pinfall. You could tell that they were just having fun. It was great. Don't know if it needed to be the main event of the match, but, I mean, for everyone involved, for me, it was awesome. I've known Austin since he's been a kid, watch him train, to the point where he is now. And it was just a real feel-good story, but damn, Billy Gunn is still a beast at 57 years old.
100%. He looked good. I thought Austin did good. The Dark Order, is still, we talked about that. That whole gimmick is kind of all over the place. They try to be funny half the time, so I'm still not sure why we're supposed to dislike them in any regard. But the mechanics of the match were good. The athleticism was good. Like you said, Billy looks amazing. Cody's at the top of his game, and I thought Austin looked great. And kudos for him getting the big win there at the end. That was nice.
You can tell Austin was nervous. You know,
really?
It wasn't the happy feet. It was his facial expressions, like, "Holy shit! Look where I am right now."
Yeah, but he did good. He should be nervous in that situation. He did really well. I was happy with it. And then, the Go-Ho promo, did Orange Cassidy come out there again too? I've seen so much.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
When did Orange Cassidy come out?
Yes, he did. He came out to break up the Dark Order from doing something.
Yeah, the silver guy. He did something. He gave him the orange crush on the ramp there, or walkway, whatever it is.
Yeah, he gave the orange punch to Silver.
Yeah, so I was correct, is what you wanted to say.
Yes.
And then the promo with Darby Allin, I thought was really good. Darby Allin, doing his Sting roll, sitting up in the Raptors all alone, was pretty good. So I like the way the show ended. I guess it's, just subjective whether it was the main event or whatever, but I liked it and I was happy for everybody involved.
Dave, you want to tell us why you hate Darby Allin?
I didn't say that.
Oh, I just assume.
Did you like his promo earlier where he ran over Cody with a car?
That was fantastic. And speaking of promos, don't we need to talk about the Pac promo? All 12?
That was fantastic. I thought that was really well done. Just him in the room by himself with all of his different personalities going crazy because he's been alone the entire time. He's a huge X factor for AEW because when he does finally get back, I think there's going to be I think the pecking order is going to change.
Yeah, but he's the guy too. None of that is going to translate to how he works in the ring. So he's going to be good. It's going to be good matches, but he's got that pop-oriented style. And as cool as that video package was, how's that going to translate to what he does in the ring? How's that going to complement his style?
Well, but don't you need to have that backstory to the man that you should care about, and maybe you care about him more because of how tremendous that vignette, that promo was?
Yeah, but like if the vignette is that you're insane, now keep in mind that's fucking half the business now has some gimmick where they're half insane.
Yeah.
So you do that with a style that is going to complement. If I see John Moxley rocking, like Mankind was, how Mankind would do those vignettes, but it translated to his style of ring work. I don't know how that's going to translate to Pac's style of ring. I think Pac's going to come, Pac, whatever, is still going to come out and work just the same way he always has. Is anything going to be any different? So I'm not saying they shouldn't have done it because it was a cool promo. I'm just not sure what it's going to do.
It's a very good point. Gentlemen, let's move on, though, and talk about one of our other partners here on the Pro Wrestling Report, and that is the group and the people who care a lot about your presentation under the sheets with the lights on. And that's Manscaped, manscaped.com. You can go there right now and get all the tools you need to groom the way you need and to do so safely without nicking Junior and the boys down there. And that's manscaped.com. Promo code is PWR, and you can get 20% off and free shipping right now for any product on that tremendous website. They got ball grease. They got all kinds of things.
They have a super package going on right now, no pun intended. You know, it's fantastic. And you know, and to be fair, it's a lot easier than using these things. You know what I mean? So yeah, absolutely. Just careful. Manscaped.com, promo code PWR, save 20% free shipping, and you're good to go. You'll be silky smooth.
So fresh and so smooth. And we've got two more things to talk about here on this broadcast, the first of which being NXT, and then we will go into Be the Booker for AEW Full Gear. Gentlemen, just want to let you know, to frame it up properly, we've got 30 minutes of showtime remaining. The network, we can't go long because I think something more important may happen before the 9 o'clock Eastern time here tonight. So let's go right ahead into NXT right now. And let's talk about Ember Moon and Dakota Kai, who opened up the show this past Wednesday night. Dakota Kai getting the win by pinfall over Ember Moon, Dave.
You know what? But let's not forget that Dakota Kai had a little bit of outside help. Really weird seeing you bring back Ember Moon to all this pomp and circumstance for this to happen. I understand that they're working on stories and matches going forward and whatnot, but Dakota Kai, there's something different about her. She doesn't, this is going to sound terrible, if you saw her walk through the airport, you wouldn't think that she is a pro wrestling star. But she's just been doing everything right in the ring. She's got great psychology. She has that extra gear. She's vicious. She's deceitful. But it was just, for me, it was just a weird matchup seeing how it played out, because you would figure that they would be getting Ember Moon ready for the winner of Io Shirai and Rhea Ripley.
Shane?
I mean, I see your point. I'm glad you came back on the Dakota Kai there, because you started out stiff, and I was like, where are we going with this? But yeah, I mean, I love Dakota Kai's work. Ember Moon, she's back working hard. You know, I mean, like I said earlier when I was talking about interests and stuff, I still don't really understand Ember Moon yet. I just know that she's a good wrestler. So we need to, you know, still, for a lot of characters, kind of explore who they are, what they are, why they do this. You know, why do you dress like this? What the hell is going on? You know, if you see that in any other combat sport, you would want to know, why the fuck is this person dressed like this? You know, that's one of the things, like in pro wrestling, like, you knew why I was dressed like the superhero. You didn't have to, you never asked yourself these questions, because you understood my character. You understood my gimmick. There's so many now that it's just somebody with weird clothes. Like, that's their whole gimmick. You got weird clothes and contact lenses.
Like Velvet Dream. I don't know who he is anymore.
Yeah, I don't. And now he just wears jeans.
Dream, Dave.
Yeah. What's that?
Velveteen.
That's what I said, didn't I?
No, not at all, actually.
So yeah, you know what I'm saying. But the mechanics of the match were really good. You know, I really loved this one point in the match where Ember gave her like the jumping code breaker, then the leg sweep behind it. And I was like, man, there's some nice work there. So I enjoyed the match.
Well, next up, and George White has a comment there from Facebook. I thought she was supposed to be a vampire, and now she's a biker.
She's a biker?
Well, that's what George said.
She's like a Mad Max chick, I think, right now.
Beyond the Thunderdome?
Yeah, that one. Which makes sense.
Hero?
I'm sorry?
Does she need another hero?
I don't think so. I think she's all right.
Shane, I'm sorry to start this one off with you, but of course I'm doing it on purpose. Kushida makes your boy Cameron Grimes tap out.
Cameron Grimes. Actually, Cameron Grimes took an ass whooping in that. So they're showing a new element to him, in terms of more character and not really highlighting how mechanically good he is. He's putting over Kushida, so he did his job in that aspect. And Kushida is really good too. So I enjoyed it. The throwback to the zombie referee I thought was kind of funny. So I didn't hate that. The entertainer in me liked that. I think Cameron, my boy, needs to find there's a fine line between going too over the top, and not enough. He needs to find that line in terms of selling like crazy shit that happens with the zombie ref coming out is what I'm specifically talking about. But his mechanics are always going to be good. He's just really that good. And Kushida is the guy that they're really running with right now. So I like that. I'm not sure why he's in that weird gear other than his throwback to his Back to the Future thing he did in New Japan, I think it was, with Alex Shelley. I guess, but good match. Again, a good match. And then with another person where if you got a new person tuning in who might have went away from wrestling and came back, they're going to be like, so does nobody just wear wrestling gear anymore?
Exactly. Yeah, that's how it looks.
Nobody stands out because they're all wearing that same weird shit.
Cameron
fair, Grimes actually stands out because he wears fucking gear. It's weird.
Well, next up to talk about was a tag team match where everybody was involved. It was Everrise going up against Drake Maverick and Killian Dane. Pat McAfee involved, Pete Dunne, Danny Burch, Oni Lorcan. There's just a lot going on here in this matchup. Dave, what did you think of Maverick and Dane getting, it was a no contest actually against Everrise?
Drake Maverick does everything that is asked for him, and I've said this time and time again. Now he's being Killian Dane's prop, and he's being used as a weapon in the match. And it looks like it belongs. It looks natural. It doesn't look like it's been put together in the back. And you honestly believe Killian Dane looks at Drake Maverick, okay, I'm just going to throw you and pitch you and toss you and knock you around and use you as a weapon to win. And Drake Maverick's like the puppy dog that just wants to please his owner and does whatever he says. I thought it was great. I thought it was interesting though that they brought up Pat McAfee's group for the beatdown. And everyone seems to be enjoying themselves in Pat McAfee's group except for Pete Dunne. He looks miserable. They don't know why. They haven't explained why he's like that.
Well, that's just how he's always been. So to me, that makes him a little different in that group, especially that and the fact that he was his tan is he had the Trump tan on was odd, but he was always the guy that wouldn't smile in pictures. Like his buddies, the fucking handlebar mustache guys. I forget what they used to call his tag team partners, but they would always be in pictures. What's that?
Raleigh Fingers?
No, the other two British guys. The one guy had the big ass legs.
Raleigh Fingers was the relief pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers back in the 80s and the Oakland A's.
He had that gimmick, though.
Yeah, he did. The handlebar mustache, yes.
I feel like there was something with the mustaches for those guys. They were called something. It was Pete Dunne. You guys are supposed to know this. Pete Dunne and the other two guys. Tyler Bateman might be the one of them. Come on. What the fuck? Anyway, I can't remember names. But Pete Dunne would never smile. So they're kind of playing off that. I like the match. What you said about Drake Maverick is great. He's a utilitarian. He's a guy that you can count on to do whatever you need Drake to do. He's going to not only do it, but he's going to do it better than you expected. He's that good. I like Killian Dane getting the time. I like the tag team champions doing their thing. The what is that what they're called?
Ever Ready.
That's
a battery, Dave. They're called
they did good.
Everrise.
Isn't that
Everrise,
the name of the battery? I don't
Everrise, know. Yeah. As far as the Pat McAfee thing, I think he needs to be careful on trying to be too funny. You can tell he's one of those guys. He's trying to be too internet snarky. And maybe that's because of he's got this very popular show, so he can't be too heated, I guess, maybe because of his his other business ventures outside of wrestling. But I'm interested to see where this is going. I love the fact that they said we're the best 4-man group of all time in all of wrestling. So they're going for those jabs, trying to get people heated in that regard. But I mean, it's cool to see this new thing just develop, and you get this anticipation of what's going to happen when the Undisputed Era comes back. And this was a good setup. This was a good setup chapter for Pat McAfee's group, whatever, if they have a name yet, I don't know.
And what's great for McAfee is he put all that time and effort into his match with Adam Cole. We thought it was done after SummerSlam, and now he's back, and they're getting double their money back out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing I want to talk about was, well, a big deal, actually, because there's a Tank no more. After this situation, Shotzi Blackheart and Toni Storm have a matchup. Storm getting the win over Blackheart by pinfall, Dave. But, well, again, there's a truck and a Tank also involved, and Candice LeRae as well in this matchup.
Interesting for me because I think Toni Storm is the future of the NXT women's division. I mean,
wow, that's bold.
It's a matter of time before she has that belt around her waist. And again, for me, it's like, why are they having these two work together so soon? I mean, Shotzi got the big rub, the big push as the host of Halloween Havoc, to then come out to this where this is a match you would expect to see on pay-per-view. And then I understand it's to further a storyline with her and Candice LeRae, but I think they threw away this first match way too soon. I think they should have waited. I thought it was a solid match. The finish is because of Candice LeRae running over her Tank with a monster truck. Very curious to see who the Joker is with the hood on in the back. But yeah, I mean,
it's Johnny.
It's two girls with a super bright future, and
that would be Johnny, right? Was in the back because earlier they did a promo with Johnny at his house,
and that was her. You think?
That's the way I took it. Who else would it be?
I don't know.
Was that supposed to be somebody else?
I
took it like she had the mask on, and then he put it on at the end. But you're saying it was a third person?
Yeah, it's a third person.
Okay.
What
the fuck do I know?
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. I think what was weird for me is they never explained before how important Shotzi's Tank was until this week. Like if I had known last week how important this Tank was, and then with her brother, I think they said her brother was in the military, and that's why she comes out with it. Like to me, it was just a weird gimmick. Like they tell us this week that it's important. And then so this week it gets smashed, and then this week we see this breakdown from her when it's smashed because she broke down like her best friend got killed.
Right, I mean, no sense.
She gave a delivery, but it's just like they did it all in one segment. Like this is something that could have been, like I said, explain to me why this Tank means a lot to her. That could have been done in a promo. Then you have the destruction of it, and now maybe Candice, I can see Candice doing a promo, not understanding like, oh, I didn't know her brother was in the military. I didn't know it's like that. Oh, I really fucked up. You know what? I don't care. Fuck her. Something like that, and then really, dig into it. But it just seemed rushed that they did it all in that one night.
They had all summer of her running over Robert Stone with that Tank. They could have established what it meant back then. And you're right, Shane. If they would have told us how important, I was like, why is she crying over a Tank? Why is she so upset?
Well, they explained it like during the match, and that was like, why they keep, I remember hearing that going, oh, okay, I guess I get it. But even then, like when they ran over it, like no matter what, I don't know if I would react like that. But that being said, she gave a good performance on the reaction, and it was a solid match. I agree with you about Toni Storm too. She's got a future, but I think Shotzi could easily be the NXT Women's Champion at some point too. So, this furthers her story with Candice, but Toni gets the win. So, I kind of see the business behind that. Keep in mind, there's personnel problems too. Still, a lot of personnel problems.
Both companies plagued by it, and well, the entire world and country.
Pun intended.
Indeed. So next up, it was the main event. It was Tommaso Ciampa and Dave. Let's get this clear. Velveteen Dream, and it would be Ciampa.
Yeah, but the team is silent with him, isn't it?
No, he wasn't actually. So, Ciampa and Velveteen Dream. Dave, take it. Your thoughts on this contest?
You know what? It just seemed like it was a match that we saw 2 or 3 years ago in NXT. It was a good match. I mean, they both do what they both do. They're both physical. They're aggressive. They go 110 miles an hour. It was a great win for Tommaso Ciampa, but what is it leading to? You know, it's like it just seems like they're just having the same match over and over again with nothing, without anything to gain down the road. And where is Damian Priest?
It's a good question. But what we did gain, though, was in footage released by WWE after the matchup of Tommaso Ciampa cutting an amazing, not even a promo, but a very heartfelt and emotional speech to the NXT audience afterwards.
About what?
Life, injury, spot on the card, how great NXT is. So, you know,
it was an appreciation speech to the fans.
Shane, Ciampa over Dream.
I mean, good matchup, but I mean, we knew it would be. Nothing came out of it that we didn't expect. Ciampa is mechanically as solid as anybody in the business. Velveteen Dream is still good. I don't understand why he kind of got away from the flashy, just out there in the jeans and stuff. To me, I'm just, again, looks like if I'm just flipping the channels, I'm not going to stop for that. It just doesn't do it for me. Solid match, but, I knew it was going to be a good match coming in. I didn't get anything super special out of it, though.
And that's why NXT last night did the ratings number it did, because there was truly nothing special about the show, whereas the week before it's like, oh, there's a lot of consequences in every match. There wasn't that last night for NXT.
Well, fair assessment, at least from your opinion, your standpoint. I will still say that ratings are reflective of after the fact, not what the actual show was, at least from what I believe. But be that as it may, it is time to talk more about AEW, All Elite Wrestling, and Dynamite, and specifically Full Gear, which is Saturday night, I believe, on pay-per-view, actually on Fight TV, the same network that we are broadcasting on right now, available internationally, and also on BR Live here in the U.S. So, lots to get to. Dave, you mentioned earlier that the NWA Championship will be on the line during the buy-in for the show, the pre-show, if you will, and that will be Serena Deeb versus Allison Kay in that matchup. And we're going to go quick fashion here. I want you guys to give us quick reasoning as to why you would book who you would book to win the matchup. And in this case, we'll start with you, Shane.
This is the NWA Women's Championship.
Yes.
I mean, Serena Deeb is the new champion, so I think you keep it on her. But I'm looking forward to see Sienna, a.k.a. Allison Kay. I was one of the guys that pitched for Allison to come to Impact. I've been a fan of her for years. I hope she comes in and brings it. Serena has done well, because I thought she was out of the game until she showed up in AEW, and I think most people did. She was a coach down in NXT or at the Performance Center, and as far as I knew, was not competing anymore. Was that actually I did a yoga session when I was down there with her. I just didn't think she was in the game anymore. She came back good as hell, better than ever. In fact, better than ever. Legit. You hear that sometimes, and it's not true. She's better than ever. So I'm looking forward to this. But I see Deeb's continuing her reign.
Dave Hero?
Absolutely. Serena Deeb, without a doubt, retains. The signing of Sienna and Serena Deeb makes them the two best women on the AEW women's roster, in my opinion. I think they upgraded that division tenfold with just the two of them because of the experience that they both have. They can help teach those younger talents to get to that next level.
All right, fair enough. I want to remind everybody, we are live, as I said, on Fight TV and across our social media channels. Right now, we're talking about AEW Full Gear, which is Saturday on pay-per-view. We want to hear your fantasy booking as well. Who do you think will, could, and should win these matchups as we talk about them? Go ahead and share your comments here live via our social media channels. And one on the match we just talked about, Serena Deeb should win, but looking forward to seeing Kay as well. So thank you very much for that comment on YouTube. But gentlemen, let's move into the next matchup we're going to talk about as we get onto the official match card for AEW Full Gear, and it will be Orange Cassidy versus John Silver. We saw those two mix it up, if you will. The Orange Punch delivered from Cassidy to Silver this past Wednesday on Dynamite. Dave, I think we start with you in this match. Who you got? I know it's not Orange Cassidy.
No, you have to go with Orange Cassidy. You have to. You have to go with the guy that you've invested so much time and effort and money into over the last 3 or 4 months. You can't put over a John Silver. That would just be silly. So I'm going to go with Orange Cassidy. And
Shane?
Yeah, I mean, logic for me would dictate Orange Cassidy, but I've seen weirder decisions happen in the business, and I know AEW does like to shock us sometimes. So I'm going with Orange Cassidy, but there could be some shenanigans in there. Keep in mind the Dark Order is there, and what better way to keep that story going than the Dark Order gets involved, John Silver gets a win. That could very easily happen, but if it's a one-on-one, I say Orange Cassidy.
Where's Brody Lee?
I don't know. He's in a dark corner.
Is his nice, well done. Is his absence more telling than his presence would be going into Full Gear, perhaps, is the question maybe we'll answer. Next up, it is an Ultimate Deletion match. It seems as if this may be one of those cinematic presentations that you love so much, Dave Hero. But Dave, it is time to start.
Hold on, pump the brakes there. Yeah. I have no problem with the Hardy brand cinematic match because they're the ones that started the whole thing, from day one. Sammy Guevara, Matt Hardy. Weird because Sammy was just involved with MJF in that match, and then him and Matt got into it on Dynamite for a little bit. You just got to believe that Matt isn't going to lose one of his own matches. So I'm going to go with Matt Hardy.
All right. Shane, who would you book and why in this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like anytime somebody is their specialty match, I lean toward them. That being said, the last time like this is announced that the cinematic match is going to be at the Hardy compound, the last time there was a something cinematic shot at the Hardy compound, I got kidnapped, and that's been 2 years, and I've been fucking trapped in a damn attic or somewhere for 2 years, so I don't appreciate that shit whatsoever. So I'm hoping Sammy kicks Matt right in his fucking ass for not saving me. But I'm going to have to go with Matt Hardy on this one.
You know what I just realized, and that's an interesting pick there for Matt Hardy, because here's what I just realized. This deletion series of matches has now spawned across 3 wrestling companies.
Yeah.
Impact, WWE, and AEW.
Yep.
That's amazing. And an amazing
to
the creative talents of not only Matt and Jeff Hardy, obviously, but also Jeremy Borash, other people involved. And
keep in mind, John Gaborik had to sign off on this. He catches a lot of shit. He was the head of creative in TNA. If he doesn't say okay, none of it happens. And I was the producer on the very first one.
Really?
Yeah, and I said, just tell him I said it's okay. I just said okay to everything. Just tell him I said it was all okay. That was the phone call I had with Matt.
And watching the first one on in TNA, I was so confused. I didn't know if I liked it or hated it. And everybody talked about it for the next couple of weeks. And then it winds up being the main event on Monday Night Raw.
Right. Yeah.
So that is one of the most impressive things. It's one thing to have Big sign off, but to have Vince sign off on his flagship show, that's even bigger.
And Vince signed off with it too before Matt got there, because remember they tried the Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt one. They tried that with them.
Good point.
But then Matt came in and was like, "Yeah, we do it like this," and still. But I'm looking forward to seeing whatever, because Matt's a lunatic. Everybody thought Jeff was the lunatic for a long time, and he is, no doubt. But they're both just super creative people. So
and you got to figure Reby is somehow going to be involved in this. I would be disappointed.
Rebby's the
if she wasn't.
MVP. You know, Jeremy Borash is there's a lot of people that had their fingers in that mix. And, you know, Rebby, as far as being as lethal as she is on Twitter, and I know I'm lethal too. You know, I am the verbal assassin that has been established. But man, she's super creative. You know, I've seen it. I've seen it. They need a song. She'll whip out the fingers and the piano, and there's a song just comes out. Like, and just anything Matt needs, she can whip it up. So she's an MVP as well in that, you know, cinematic broken universe.
Well, next up, folks, it is MJF going up against Chris Jericho. They won't be having a steak dinner this time. They'll be having a wrestling contest. Shane, you're first in this one.
I'm going with MJ. I'm going with MJF on this one.
And quickly, you call it. Okay.
Yeah, MJF. Yeah. I mean, it kind of seems like, you know, I mean, that's what Chris is doing. Chris builds people up and puts them over, you know, and nothing hurts Chris. So that being, I mean, I know like he can't put everybody over, but, you know, I mean, I just don't see any reason to pull the brakes back on MJF put the brakes on MJF for any reason. I mean, I expect to see him as the AEW World Champion at some point, and I mean, this could be the turning point, you know, and or really like to really light the fire under his ass to get him in that direction again.
Dave?
I think this is the time when the Inner Circle turns on Chris Jericho because
Really?
Yeah, it's the only way it's going to make sense because when you have LAX, of course, Sammy really won't be involved, and Jake Hager out there with you, only against Wardlow. You would like to believe that Jericho would have the guys to have his back to make sure he wins. But if you look at it right now, when Jericho comes to the ring, everyone's singing his theme music. He's not a heel, not at all. He may act like one and talk like one and wrestle like one. You know, he may be all dastardly, but the fans love him no matter what he does. I think that the Inner Circle turns on him, and that's how MJF gets in the Inner Circle.
All right. Well, next up, it's Akira Shida defending the championship against Nyla Rose. Dave, how would you book it and why?
I think it's time to put the belt back on Nyla Rose. I really do. You got Vicky Guerrero as the mouthpiece. You got Nyla Rose, who just rolled on Dynamite. I just think it's time. I don't think that the women's division has any real steam behind them right now, and they need to do something about that.
Shane?
I agree completely. You know, for whatever reason, and it could be a multitude of reasons, we don't know, but there has been a lack of attention based on the championship right now. And I know they've tried, they've done things, but I just feel like it needs a kick in the ass right now. And you got Vicky there as that mouthpiece. She's going to bring the attention. Nyla Rose coming in, winning that championship, being AEW's first two-time champion of any kind. It could be a nice moment for her as well. So, yeah, I see Nyla Rose in this one.
All right, both of you, you've been voting on party lines so far here tonight, and
let's stop kissing each other's ass, Dave. Come on.
I venture to say the next match might see some separation because it is difficult to book, I think, and that is Kenny Omega versus the Hangman Adam Page. This is the finals match in the Eliminator Tournament, the Championship Eliminator Tournament. Shane, I think you go first in this one, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this one, former partners collide. How would you book it and why?
I think the better story is Adam Page, but as a company, I still think, you know, it's about time to, you know, put the gas on Kenny Omega. You know, let's get out of him what we know is there. I mean, this guy, you know, a couple years ago was pound for pound the best in the world. You know, let's get him back to that guy. That being said, if he loses, it doesn't mean he can't ever challenge for the AEW Championship again. So I feel like the story is Adam Page, because where does Adam Page go after this? So I'm going to lean toward Adam Page here, but my gut does say Kenny Omega.
Shane Helms picking Adam Page, however, leaving me out for an Omega win. Dave, how about you?
I'm gonna go with Kenny Omega. They've redone his entrance. He destroyed Sonny Kiss. Had a great match with Penta. I think this is the match where he destroys Adam Page to the point where Adam Page has his like Rocky 3 moment where he has to go off and find himself and put the booze down and rededicate and quit being the rhinestone emo cowboy and find his smile like so many others have had to do in the past. But there's no way Kenny Omega doesn't win this match.
All right, gentlemen, and I think there's some big news coming soon, by the way, here outside of wrestling. But FTR.
Does it involve Manscaped?
Yeah, 20% off, manscaped.com. Promo code PWR. Free shipping, too, by the way. FTR versus the Young Bucks. The tag team championships are on the line. Will the new attitude of the Young Bucks lead them to victory in this matchup, Shane?
I hope so. If the one's really injured and you can't, they put up the stipulation that you can't challenge for the AEW championship. Does it AEW championship ever or AEW championship that they can't challenge for it as long as FTR are the champions? What is that stipulation exactly?
I think it's forever, ever.
If it's forever, ever, you got to put it on ever, ever?
Ever, ever.
So I think it's Young Bucks time, the part of AEW's success is Young Bucks. As much as I love FTR, they're not the face of the company. They're going to be one of the greatest tag teams over the last couple of years, and they still got a lot of good years left. But I feel like it's the Young Bucks need to win. They need to be the champions. All
right, Dave, how about you?
Well, and of course, the FTR will not have Tully at ringside.
Why not?
I'm sorry?
Why not?
That was just one of the stipulations that Tully is banned from ringside.
What? Oh, because they attacked? They did the attack? I might have missed that.
Yeah. So I think that the safe bet is the Young Bucks. Put the belts on them to get out of the stipulation. They can always drop it the following week to Private Party or somebody else, whatever they want to do. But yeah, as much as I wanted to see FTR keep rolling, you have to go with the Young Bucks just for entertainment purposes only.
EPO.
Lots
of comments about this matchup here on our socials. Again, want to thank everybody for watching us live.
It's just unfortunate that both teams aren't 100%.
At what point does the Bucks just become the Bucks?
Oh my God! I asked you this weeks ago, Shane, right here on this very program, and you told me that they were bucking the trend, and they were.
But let's be fair.
Absolutely explain that.
I think they become the Bucks when Shawn Michaels was no longer the Heartbreak Kid.
I think you asked Al that, and you just think it was me.
Now I can distinctly tell between the two of you just by your tweets alone.
Touche.
We're getting some lots of comments in. Lots of people seemingly on the side of FTR. Lots of people seemingly on the side of Adam Page. And
so it's like Georgia
as well. I'm sorry, the airline.
Yeah.
All right. Next, let's go to the last of two matches we're going to talk about, both of which have high stakes with championships being on the line. Cody Rhodes, by the way. Which, gentlemen, quickly, your thoughts on the fact that WWE relinquished or let that trademark lapse, and now Cody can be Rhodes again?
I'm glad. I'm glad they did. It was. I understand owning things that WWE created and stuff like that, but the Rhodes name, Cody deserved that, and so I'm glad for whatever. I don't know the black and white of why it happened, but I'm glad that it did, and I'm glad for Cody. But I think he said he's not going to be Cody Rhodes in AEW, which I find interesting.
I think he said he hasn't decided yet on a call.
Oh, he hasn't decided yet.
Yeah, he may be inclined to use it more so for his outside ventures than within AEW, because quite frankly, everyone knows he's Cody Rhodes, but he's done.
That's what's so fascinating about pro wrestling, like that he can still have a gimmick name outside, because no other actors have a gimmick name outside of what they do. When you saw Hulk Hogan on the Tonight Show, he didn't come out as Terry Bollea, the guy who plays fucking Hulk Hogan. So when you see Cody Rhodes on whatever show that is that he does, the game show, is
big talk show, the big game show,
is Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
So that's such a unique thing that's really only unique to pro wrestling, that we are who we are. Our characters are who we are. But that being said, I want to see him be Cody Rhodes, just to mark in me.
Well, he's going to be Cody on Saturday
Cody
against
Lee.
Darby Allin. And they built to this match really, really strong. Some people may agree or disagree with how it finalized itself on last night's Dynamite, but I, of course, big fan of both of these competitors. The contrast in styles is going to be pretty amazing. Will Cody be able to keep up with Darby Allin? Will Darby Allin be able to power up to Cody? Are the questions I have going into this. But Dave, tell us first. Actually, Shane, Dave, you go first this time. Darby Allin, who you hate because of his size, versus Cody. How would you book it and why? Aside from hating him because of his size.
First of all, Cody Rhodes has gone one-on-one with Oliver Queen. And I think Oliver Queen is a bigger badass than Darby Allin. So I got to go with Cody. I think it'll be a great match. It'll be very entertaining. They're going to do a lot of crazy stuff. And we've said this before a bunch of times on this show. Cody goes over, Darby gets over even more. Darby Allin isn't ready yet to have that title belt around his waist.
So you're saying Cody gets the win, retains the TNT Championship?
Absolutely.
Shane?
Yeah, I'm leaning toward Cody too. I mean, he just got it back. I don't know if that's the title they're going to, hot potato around a lot. Doesn't seem to be the way they kind of do things in AEW in this year they've been around, but who knows? This could be the hot potato title. That's kind of what made the cruiserweight title so cool in WCW, because it could change hands at any times. You knew the world title wasn't going to, but that cruiserweight title could bounce around a little bit. I can see Darby Allin being the TNT champion. I don't have any problem with that, but I don't know. I'm such a huge fan of Cody Rhodes right now, So especially if he gets that name back. So I'm going with Dave again on this one. We're kind of treading the same path with Cody Rhodes. But, thinking about the overall show, I see Moxley retaining. But we've had a couple of championships here too. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Cody. I'm going to go with Cody retaining.
Well, and Shane, you do get the first pick, or the first book, if you will, in that main event matchup for the AEW World Championship. It will be Jon Moxley defending against Kingston in an I Quit match. Shane, how would you book this and why?
I think this is Jon Moxley. He continues his AEW historic run, going through everybody. He's going through so many people. I think we'll probably see a little bit of, Penta, Ray Phoenix, maybe somebody getting involved here and there. But I still see Jon Moxley. I don't see Jon Moxley quitting, anything like that. But, yeah, Jon Moxley retains.
Moxley for the win. Dave, how about you?
Well, I have to go with Moxley because he's on Team Super Friends for the fantasy points. But yeah, I don't see Jon Moxley tapping, quitting, whatever, not going to say I quit. And I think it's going to be the most violent match we've seen in AEW since that last crazy violent match we had with Jon Moxley and I forgot who it was with. Was it Kenny Omega? I don't remember. I forgot who it was. Where there's like on thumbtacks and spikes and everything else was all over the place. I think it was last year. But yeah, it's going to be a violent match. They're gonna do all the old. I think it was ICW stuff they did back in Pennsylvania, which is where they spent a lot of time together. Yeah, it's going to be a match that.
Pennsylvania?
I said Pennsylvania. I didn't call Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Well, to that point, and you picking Moxley, both of you there, can't disagree with that assessment. But what I can do is figure out just who indeed remains in the lead in the Pro Wrestling Report Fantasy Draft and who will come out of Full Gear with more points in the fantasy draft. Let's now what?
Shane, when was the last time you saw a babyface champion?
I hyped up a video. You're going to not let me play the video and go back to what I was doing?
Yeah, because it's Meathead, and he can wait.
8:44.
When was the last time you saw a babyface champion not have as much fire and steam as the heel challenger?
Yeah, but Eddie's promos are kind of like some of the best in the business right now. So I thought Moxley did great. And if you talk about the promo from this past week, and I think Eddie feels a little fresher now because we've seen Moxley go through these wars and everything. But I think that's just what it is. I think Eddie feels a little fresher. but I don't think he's got as much steam as Moxley does. Moxley, no matter who they bring, whether it's Cage, Big Lance Archer, Moxley still comes out ahead. So I feel like Mox definitely has the steam.
Well, folks, we do have a huge, massive update here on the race that everyone has been talking about since for a long time, actually, for a very long time. And I'm happy we're the first to be able to break this news to you about the standing in the 2020 PWR Fantasy Draft. So now let's go to the man they call Meathead to tell everybody how I am winning and to address the allegations of ballot fraud in the fantasy draft.
Hello again with a PWR draft update. I am the man they call Meathead. Now coming up this weekend is the AEW Full Gear pay-per-view. Points are going to be double, so let's see who might be appearing. Now, so far we got Orange Cassidy, Sammy Guevara, Chris Jericho, MJF, FTR, Matt Hardy, Omega and Page, Darby Allin, and more that have not yet been announced. So for everyone that has those competitors, double points and lots of specialty matches as well. Let's talk about the current totals brought to you by the accounting firm of Dewey, Cheatham and Howe. I still lead at 1,730. David Hero at 1,500 even. Damian Nelson stuck in third at 1,380. Drew Baydala, 1,135. And Linda Kay bringing up the rear at 1,070. Now, don't forget to check out PWR Today, Monday through Friday, with myself and the rest of the family from the PWR. So, for the PWR draft, I'm the man they call Meathead. Hey, thanks for stopping by.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hereby declare that I have won not only Pennsylvania, but I've also won Arizona, North Carolina, Georgia, and Nevada. And I am firmly in third place in the fantasy draft, and Full Gear will make it that much better because several people on Team Nelson family will be vying for additional points.
Did you notice the one state you didn't win? Louisiana. You've never won New Orleans.
I wasn't competing there.
Oh, carry on.
But let's review the picks at Full Gear as you guys have identified them as you would book them, if you will. Going up the card, it will be Orange Cassidy against John Silver. Both of you say Orange will get the win, and you would book Orange, rather, to win that matchup. Next, you would both also book Serena Deeb to retain on the buy-in against Allison Kay, and also would say that Matt Hardy would get the win over Sammy Guevara in the Ultimate Deletion match. MJF gets the win over Jericho, according to both of you. The agreements continue, as you say, Nyla Rose, both of you. You would book her to get the win and become the new champion over Hikaru Shida. However, your opinions now split as far as your booking choices when we go to the matchup between Kenny Omega and Adam Hangman Page. As Shane, you would book Page to win that match, and Dave, you would book Kenny Omega to win that matchup. Well, it continues in these split decisions, if you will. Shane would say that the Young Bucks will walk out new champions, new tag team champions at Full Gear, and that FTR, Dave, according to you, you would book it to retain them.
Whoa, no, pump the brakes. I said the Young Bucks.
Hold on 1 second, please. Who messed this up?
He used a Sharpie on his ballot. I know it happened.
Well, who doesn't use Sharpies on their ballots?
We are, go to PWR360.com, ladies and gentlemen. We are looking for a new intern at this time. Cody gets the win over Darby Allin, the TNT Championship, according to both of you, the way you would book it. And also, both of you would agree, and you would book Jon Moxley to retain the championship over Kofi Kingston. And I quit Kofi Kingston, Eddie Kingston.
Wow.
Match.
That is so racist.
I don't understand. Not on this card. No Miro. No, there was another big name that's that I can't find right now.
Lance Archer, Brian Cage.
Yeah, Lance Archer, Cage, Ricky Starks, Brian Cage. So this is a stacked card, by the way, gentlemen. This is a major, major pay-per-view event for AEW. They're going all out for Full Gear, and it's going to be, I think, a good night on Saturday night on pay-per-view right here on Fight TV. Your parting thoughts on AEW's efforts upcoming this Saturday on pay-per-view?
I thought they did a great job in this go-home show. You know, there's a couple things I was already excited about. I'm even more interested in seeing Moxley and Kingston now, just to watch those two guys beat the piss out of each other, which they will. The Sienna Serena Deeb match. I'm very interested in that, and I'm almost want to change my pick. That's how excited, because I would love to see Allison Kay win that championship as well. I'm just overall excited. Of course, what Matt does with the deletion thing is going to be nuts. So I'm excited about that as well. I think they did a great job, and the fact that they don't have that there's bigger stars that aren't on the card, and the card is loaded. That's a good sign for AEW, that they got big stars and they don't have to put everybody on one show.
Let me ask you again, or not again, but for the first time, guys, of the way you guys have booked this match, and both of you picked the same victor in the championship matchups, which match ends the show? Which is the actual headlining main event? I think, Dave, is the terms that you taught me to use in regards to that matchup.
I almost feel, tradition says the championship goes on last, the heavyweight, the singles champion, but I can almost see the Young Bucks and FTR ending the show.
Really? Okay, I guess that's the match a lot of people have been looking forward to for a very long time. Dave, what would you say?
Yeah, it's a coin flip, but I'm leaning heavier towards Moxley and Kofi Kingston.
Yeah.
Really?
AEW seems to be a traditionalist in that regard. Has Moxley ever not closed the show when he was defending the championship?
I don't think so. I think the match of the night is going to be MJF and Jericho. I think that one is going to be a lot of psychology, very cerebral. It's almost like I'm expecting it when Piper got jumped by Adrian Adonis in the flower shop. It's going to be like, wow, just vicious.
Yeah, there's going to be some shenanigans going on.
Well, lots of shenanigans being called for, not only by you guys tonight, but by our current president in his press conference earlier today. But we don't have results. We don't have. So wait a minute. This is Be the Booker. We toyed with the idea of doing a live election coverage show. Obviously decided not to do that because Shane, Dave indicated.
He got distracted by the flash. You see that, Dave? That's what you said.
He did. He's got a red flake in his beard now.
Dave indicated, Shane, that you would be a little too upset if we talked too much politics on the show on an election night live coverage. So we elected not to do that. We elected not to do that. But tonight, I'm not going to put you guys on the spot. But you could have
listen.
To be the presidential election.
It's going to Game 7. It's going to be a Hell in a Cell match.
Is Bernie going to cash in the briefcase?
He should. Why not? Everything else
is going to cash in the briefcase.
Yeah. Everybody knows my views. I don't hide shit, so everybody knows who I'm leaning towards.
But we've done a very good job of not saying who.
Yeah, I don't try to tell people what to do. You got to make your own choice. But I don't have any. I don't have any fear of letting people know how I feel.
So my state's been called. Dave's state's been called. Shane, your state, North Kakalaki, has not been called. Maybe which way do you think it's going to swing?
I know our governor went Democratic, so it's very odd that that people would vote for a Democratic governor, but not the Democratic president. So that to me is odd. So I don't know.
None of us know until all the votes are counted, until the votes are actually certified as official, which many people don't know could happen up to 30 days after the projections or the final counts, if you will. That's
the weird thing. Like, I don't know how y'all's ballots work, but everything for us was on one ballot. All of them. So if they got the governors and all of them decided, I don't know how they don't have the president too.
I think it's about margin, Shane. So it
may well be because I don't fucking know. I will openly admit I don't fucking know.
I will say this: at this time in the race, where everybody is, nobody's going to call anything else until they're absolutely sure. Because when they call the next state, that determines the next president. So
who won Alaska? That's what I want to know.
Alaska actually is going to be weeks out before we know. I think it's been called for. I think it's been called for the Republicans, though.
I want to know how Vegas, though, because when I'm losing money at the blackjack table, they count that shit like that. Like, this is the one state that is great with numbers.
Right. From what I gather, they've been counting on a 9 to 5 shift, going home, coming back in the morning, and they don't give a damn how long we have to wait.
Well, yeah, because how long has Vegas had to wait to reopen?
Well, right now, exactly. Right now, Biden is up 11,438 votes in Nevada, 57,000 rather in Arizona, 51,000 Trump is up in Pennsylvania, and 3,500 is up in Georgia. Split both ways. The last 4 states everybody's waiting on, but one candidate needs one state literally. The other candidate needs a couple of them in order to become the president. So we'll see. We'll all stick with this together. One thing I think we all agree on, though we may not agree on we may not agree with the person who ends up winning. One thing we can all agree on is that this is a time for us to accept the results, whatever they may be, and to move forward with whatever it may be. And maybe we could walk away from all this violence and divisiveness in the world that is going on so far, specifically here in the U.S. So that's
the only people we should hate are the Dallas Cowboys.
Exactly.
I think that's been unanimously approved and agreed upon for years. So
especially since I got a couple of them on my fantasy football team and they're shitting the bed for me, and I'm very upset right now. So it's just personal.
And maybe it's happening now, but tonight the Packers and who play, Dave?
49ers.
49ers.
Is that
it's 49ers JV team because half their team has COVID.
There were some people speculating that if this election got called tonight, that they'd have to do a live cut-in during the game, and that would mean the winner would lose Wisconsin next time. So, well, thank you, gentlemen, for chiming in. 1 hour, 56 minutes. We are 3 minutes under the time by which the network will cut us off. So I'll give one last chance to say thank you to everyone for joining us here live on Fight TV, joining us on our socials as well. We appreciate the engagement, and we also appreciate you joining us each and every week here on the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Super Show for Shane Hurricane Helms and Tiberius the Legend, back here at one-time knockout straight edge hardcore Hall of Famer hero. We'll see you next time right here on the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Super Show.